even though that does about...
Is going to try for another Will-O-Wisp. Will it hit? No!
The cryptic part would make sense, and you might wonder, well, why did
Lacey... All right, and good evening, trainers, and welcome to the very first episode of Silph Co Sports here on Geeklife, brought to you by Swift Lifestyles. My name is the Dodd, the streamer you need, but not the one you deserve, and I am joined today by the man without a plan, Nibbs from Nibbs Plays Games. How are you today, Nibbs?
I'm good, Dots. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to talk about some VGC. I'm excited to talk about Unite. How have you been surviving these past couple of days? There's been a lot of stuff going on with everything in general. But like, what have you been up to? What have you been streaming lately?
Oh man, I got a lot going on over at Nibbs Plays Games, my own personal channel, and then of course ATX VGC, where we do the Monday night friendlies. I've been playing a lot of Ark Survival Evolved on the side, and I actually was just here on Geeklife last Friday with you.
Yeah, we're playing a little Ark here for Free Game Friday. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, if we can't be training Pokemon and breeding Pokemon, we might as well be breeding, giant dinosaurs and pterodactyls and shit, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Well, we have a great show planned for you guys tonight. But before we do, we want a quick reminder to like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. If you enjoyed anything that you see here tonight, you can also catch me on Twitter and Twitch at RooseBane. Nibbs, where can they find you?
Nibbs Plays Games on pretty much every platform, except for like Instagram.
Yes, and where can they find you on Mondays, too?
On ATX_VGC on Twitch.tv.
Yes, so definitely go check out ATX VGC. Definitely go check out Nibbs Plays Games. Also, the stream is sponsored, as I said before, by Swift Lifestyles. You can use code GETGEEKED for 15% off your purchase on energy drinks, hydration powders, swag shakers, and so much more. It's a great way to support the show and still get a tasty drink, too. Now that we got the ads out of the way, Nibbs, what's on the agenda for tonight?
Oh man, I'm really excited. We're going to talk about some Series 10 stuff. We're going to go forward and we're going to commentate a live matchup. Well, not a live one, but one that was previously recorded, rather. And we're going to talk about some Unite news as well. We got a lot of exciting stuff on the agenda. We
do. And then after we talk about those headlines, we're going to have a quick round of hot or not, deciding what's spicy and what's bland. And then we also will finish the night off with a top 5 plays of the week. So it should be a lot of fun tonight. So one hell of a show that we got in our hand, Nibbs. Let's get after with the first story of the night. And I think the first story of the night is you, my friend, with the Series 10 meta. What we got, Nibbs?
Oh man, so the Series 10 format has been one that's been going on for the last 2 months now, and there's been a lot of talk in what is good or what's bad. I know early on in the format, fire types were not as prominent, but ever since the Players Cup Invitational, we've seen major usage incline of like fire types such as Entei, where Wolfie Glick had actually used Choice Scarf Entei, and then later on kind of made a comeback in the format where he got to number 1 in the ladder just in 7 hours and 40 minutes, where he actually used Safety Goggles Entei. If we can get the usage on the screen or no? Is that?
That might be a little bit too late to get that in there, but I can tell you what the usage.
Well, I'm looking at it right now too.
Yeah.
But if you want to do that, then that's perfectly great.
No, go for it. It's your story.
All right. So right now, number 1 in usage in the format is Incineroar. That's no surprise at all, as it's typically number 1 in every format. Then following closely behind that, we have Rillaboom, Regieleki, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, which is pretty neat. In Series 10, that's picked up a lot in comparison to its counter form in the Dark Urshifu type. Amoonguss follows the Rapid Strike. Zacian comes in as the first restricted in the format. Then, surprisingly enough, we actually have Stakataka, which is that's a pretty cool thing. It's definitely Wakataka. And then following the Stakataka, we have Landorus incarnate form, and then Entei, as I mentioned before, being used in the Players Cup. And then we have our second restricted in Xerneas. So pretty prominent in the grass types, fire types, Zacian and Xerneas. Honestly, something that I just mentioned right there in grass types, it's pretty cool to see all the grass types taken over. You can see in the top 5, we have 2 Pokemon that are grass types in Rillaboom and Amoonguss. And then you can almost just slap a grass type on your team, and it'll probably work in some favor. On Monday,
it's a grass type. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Is there anything that you want to add there, Dodson? If you want to jump in.
Yeah, I think that so there are some like ones that are not shockers at all, right? You got Incineroar, you got Rillaboom, right? And then Regieleki, I can kind of see, having a much more viability in a non-Dynamax meta. But I'll tell you, the one that I've had the funnest using is one that I slept on in Isle of Armor, and that's Urshifu Rapid Strike. I can't tell you, there's nothing that's more satisfying than hitting a Surging Strikes on a protected Landorus that's just sitting there trying to be intimidating and shit. And there's like, no, fuck you. It's magnifique. I've got a clip on my stream of me actually hitting through one that protected too. It did a substitute, and it broke through the substitute as well. That is really
like
satisfying.
A Landorus or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's something that's really cool about Rapid Strike is it kind of counters Landorus Incarnate, which is pretty much, I think it's on it looks like 54% of the teams or something like that, and it's become super common on almost every team, being a very good. I don't really necessarily want to say Zacian counter, because Zacian can attack, and if you don't have enough defend investment, then it can just get one shot. But it can one shot in return if there's anything like redirection or a fake out or anything like that. But now you have Urshifu Rapid Strike that it's the Urshifu that doesn't have to have a Focus Sash. It doesn't have to have a Choice Band.
Yeah, you've been talking about this. You've been talking about a bulky Urshifu. And I'm like, what is this nonsense? But no, Mystic Water, especially like on the rain team that I've been running recently, I mean, you can throw it in the rain with Mystic Water and everything, and it is intimidating, and it is bulky, and it's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, it's a great check on Incineroar, which is the #1 usage in the league right now. But the 2 right underneath it are checks on it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to add to what you just said there. Urshifu Wet Noodle slaps.
Yeah, Wet Noodle absolutely slaps. I think that Calyrex Shadow Rider has been a fun one for me to see come up there. I mean, that one really didn't have much use at all in a Dynamax format, because at any point you could, max Darkness and more Pico and take out Calyrex. I mean, I don't know for sure. I don't know the damage calc on that, but I feel like you could.
I have done that calc, and we'll see why here towards the end of the show.
Okay.
I've done some more Petco counts and calcs, and it one shots two Calyrex Shadows. When it's in angry mode.
Okay. Well, we'll have more on that later. What is surprising to me, though, is Xerneas being so low on the countdown, right? When we talked about Series 10, everyone was like, Xerneas is going to be #1. Xerneas is going to be right there at the top. What do you think is actually putting it so low on the countdown, or am I just kind of overanalyzing this?
I don't necessarily think that you're overanalyzing it, and honestly, what we're looking at in usage stats right now, I still think that it's up there, because most of the Pokemon that are above it, it's 10th on the usage list, right? 10th overall, but it's the second restricted on the list, and the one that's above it is Zacian, which easily counters Zacian most of the time. But oftentimes, more than not, on these Xerneas teams, you're seeing something like Stack Attacker with Safety Goggles, so you can avoid the Amoonguss Redirection and the Amoonguss Spore, and you can just go straight after that Xerneas that maybe has gotten a Geomancy up with a Gyro Ball and just take it down. I think that might be why that you're seeing it as number 10 on the usage list, and not higher up. Like Zacian is actually number 6, but Zacian is easily the best restricted in the format.
Yeah, I love using the Sword Doggo, best doggo. I had some struggles with it, admittedly, last night or the night before in ATX VGC. I will admit that there. But outside of that, I just Zacian being usable. At first, I remember when Sword and Shield first came out, and I would play casual, and why I learned I didn't want to play casual anymore is because you'd get some 8-year-old that just brings a team full of just all legendaries, and especially when you're trying to play something that's really meta. and you're not bringing all that, then you're just like, oh, well, you know. But and so that kind of made me hate Zacian a little bit. But once Zacian actually became something that was viable and usable in the meta, oh man, was it so much fun to use. The other one that was really a big, everyone said it was going to come back, was Turntoger, right? With Tornadus and Kyogre, of course, that I'm talking about, the Tailwind Water Spout combo. And we have seen Turntoger. Tornoger? Is that how you say it? Tornoger. Yeah, see, I always read it in chat, and I just, in my head, I've already said it differently. Like 90% of Pokemon players, there's like 90% of Pokemon players have at least one Pokemon out there that they mispronounce the name every single time. And
I think you're lowballing that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I probably am lowballing that for sure. 100% lowballing that. Yeah, Shadow Rider coming in at about 13th usage, and Kyogre coming in at 11th. Tornadus is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 15th in usage, so it's still pretty high up there. But not. It's Incineroar, Rillaboom, Regieleki, Urshifu is the core of this meta, I believe. And then Zacian being the number one. Restricted, Xerneas being everyone's second best pick for restricted. I think that's been pretty crazy, and that's kind of made Tornoger, at least, not as much of a threat as at least it was when I was hearing about it at the beginning of Series 10, right?
Yeah, definitely. Most people are finding a lot of things that wall Calyrex Shadow. One thing that I like to bring up a lot, and it does kind of get hated on a little tiny bit because it's not like the best answer, because you have answers to this and it's not a restricted. But one thing that I love to bring up when people are talking about Calyrex Shadow Rider is the fact that Assault Vest Rillaboom just kind of walls it out. Like, if you invest correctly, Rillaboom can take it's a 3-hit KO with Astral Barrage going into Rillaboom, which is crazy, right? Calyrex Shadow Rider puts out so much damage. But within Assault Vest, it kind of weighs it back, right? And if you have knockoff on your Rillaboom, which you don't necessarily have to have, you just straight up one-shot Shadow Rider. But if you don't have knockoff, which honestly most of the time I don't, then you can just wall it out with Grassy Glide and two-hit it with a Grassy Glide.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, Grassy Glide still, ever since Grassy Glide came along in Isle of Armor, it's changed the meta, and I love it. And it's made Rillaboom just one of the best Pokemon, I mean, in the format right now. So it's no surprise seeing this domination here. Anyways, so in other news, we've got even more news, because we also want to talk about you. This is not just a VGC stream, y'all. By the way, hi Pickley, hi Sir Wilson, Little Nelly, Savage. Thank you guys so much for being here. Love having you guys here, and thanks for cheering us on. So our next story, though, tonight, Unite got a huge info dump yesterday. Have you been able to keep up with all this stuff, Nibbs?
Oh, it's been tough, and it's been recent where all the news has been dropping too.
Oh yeah. So first off, we have Mamoswine and Sylveon joining the fight. We already kind of knew that. We've seen some stuff about that earlier, but the biggest news drop is all of these new holowares coming out. One, we got Space Gengar, we got Pirate Charizard, we've got Detective Garchomp, Space Lucario. We've got like these Unite teams, the either purple or orange side team for like a bunch of different mons. There's also a couple of leaked holoware outfits. Some of the coolest ones, like Boss Venusaur with the tuxedo and Firefighter Blastoise. They also announced new holoware for your character to match your Pokemon style. So if you want to be dressed up like a pirate, like your Cinderace, you can dress up like a pirate, which is definitely something I'm going to be rocking. Unite Squads is also a new feature that they introduced, which makes it easier to match make when you have a full group of people. There's new also Pokemon Go style stickers that have been added to chat. All around, there's just been tons and tons and tons of new changes to it. There's a new menu change to it, and of course, a mobile has been launched. These past couple of days. So tons of huge announcements here, Nibbs. Is there any particular thing that you're most excited about, and why is it Space Gengar?
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited for all the updates. Mobile was dropped today, of course. We were talking about Mamoswine and Sylveon. If the most exciting thing for me was the Gengar, it would definitely be that the leaked photos of that were with the Ghastly being completely filled with a helmet.
Yes, he's just
I
the
think that's
helmet.
so
He's a
cool.
floating helmet. I thought there's no way they're gonna do that. They're gonna have it like, like where they have with Machamp, where he still does his Machoke thing, he still does his Machop thing, and then all of a sudden he's Beach Machamp, right? Nope, nope. This is a full like primo costume. You got a little floating head, Ghastly. You got a fucking Andross, Haunter. It's not really Andross, but if you have floating hands and you're a space suit thing, you're Andross to me. I mean, come on, But yeah. I mean, for me, my big inspiration to grind and unite last season was Pirate Cinderace, right? Because I'm obsessed with pirates and obsessed with Cinderace. But this season I was like, well, how are you gonna pull me in? And they're like, look, we got Detective Garchomp. Okay, look, we got a Space Gengar, and if we didn't have you there, you've always loved Charizard, and we'll just make him a pirate too. So definitely super duper excited about a lot of these announcements. I don't know about you, man.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, what's your favorite costume that they've announced? Is it Space Gengar?
I think that's the really cool one, mostly because of the helmet. Like dead serious. I'm a big fan of Lucario, as you know.
Yeah.
And they had one costume for Lucario that's not really all that cool. I think it's like an orange jacket or something. I don't think it's a firefighter. I think it might be a team jacket. And then there's another one that it looks, I think it's Detective Lucario or something, and that one is fly.
Yeah.
That one is really fly, yeah.
There's also a couple of gameplay features that they added. They added some new items too, like weakness policy is a new one that I believe you actually sent me some info on earlier today, where the more damage that you take, the more damage you can put out. So basically adding a flail on to you, and essentially, which I think is just going to make Snorlax just absolutely wreck people. If I'm having to guess.
Yeah, I wanna bring up really quick now that you mentioned Snorlax and the weakness policy. Crustle is also going to be something to look out for as it gets Shell Smash. And if you have a weakness policy plus Shell Smash, how are you going to defend them?
Oh man, that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's going to be crazy. Yeah, the defenders with weakness policy is going to be really, really mean. Man, leave it to Gen 8 for really bringing weakness policies really back strong into the meta. Like that's been everywhere.
Absolutely.
But when you can Dynamax something and then just Aqua Jet into it and then get max attack, max speed, it's hard not to. Anyways, but they also the biggest thing, and I think what a big update for this show in particular, right, is going to be the fact that they added spectator mode. So we'll be able to spectate some matches. Hopefully, we'll be able to commentate some matches here. But I got a little chance to play around with that earlier today, and it is a lot of fun. You can switch between all the different characters that are out there on the field, and we'll be able to kind of like see what's going on in top lane, and then quickly switch into what's going on their jungle, what's going on in the other team's jungle. Looks like a lot of fun. I think spectator mode is probably actually the thing I am most excited about, just because of the potential that it has.
Yeah, absolutely. Did they actually release that today? Is it back and live again?
It's live. You can use it.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. We should definitely look into doing that.
We should definitely look into doing that, and hopefully they'll add it's also very frustrating that they still don't add in a spectator mode into SWSH after they know that we want it, right? All right. Well, for our final story of the night, the return of live tournaments. Nibbs, what you got for us?
All right, so I definitely want to talk about the return of live tournaments here, and one big thing is that I've been following it, grassroots tours, grassroots events. The New York, New Jersey section has been going live. One thing particular, not necessarily VGC or Pokemon, but with like Smash Brothers events, they've been going on for like a year, maybe plus at this point. New Jersey's being a little more safe and cautious with COVID and vaccinations and everything. They're higher up with that. They are in a more populated area, so that's definitely something to think about. But I do know that there has been live events since the Joe UX9 tour that he held in New York City. I think it's been about 2 months for that one now, but ever since then, it seems like they've been having events, not every single weekend, but probably bi-weekly. I do know that Pangy won the most recent one in Philly, and then coming in second place in the grand final there was Charisma Check. I know Charisma is a big ATX VGC member and has been for a long time, so closely following Charisma on Twitter. That's where I was able to catch that news. Also, SoCal has been having live events for quite some time. I think that's been since before the Joe UX9, to my knowledge, and also right around the same time that those started up, we did have some events going on up in Chicago. I do know Chicago is kind of bringing out the grassroots scene a little bit more as well. I do know Ninopoke Bros do have their event coming up in Fort Collins in the Denver area.
Yep.
I think that is that next weekend? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I do know that I remember it was a big deal for Nino to announce that he was wanting to do that, and I I think under certain conditions it can happen, right? Like as long as you're being responsible and COVID responsible, I think that it is possible to be able to have it, but I do think that you do need to take heavy considerations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know that we did have one here in Austin. I think that was about 6 or 7 weeks ago at this point, maybe a little bit less. But it was a little bit smaller one, as COVID is a little bit more serious here in Austin or in Texas in general. So not too many people went, but they were very cautious about it. So one thing to note going forward is, like, we are talking about having more in Austin coming up, but they're not. It's probably not going to be until November at the earliest. But it is in talks. But everything has to be in consideration with COVID, and the event that they had about 6 weeks ago. It was vaccinations are required. You had to wear a mask. You had to socially distance yourself. Like, they were doing everything that they could in order to get it going. And shout out to Wave Racer too, who won that tour. That was really exciting for me to see, as Wave Racer was somebody that I worked closely with, as he was a part of the site contributors and posted some YouTube videos for the ATX VGC, which that I am a part of that group, being one of the co-founders.
No, I know, and I think that like in Colorado, I don't know what the ICU capacity is right now in Colorado, so I can't give you that. I do know the ICU capacity here, and it's still right at the top, and so I think that regardless of there is a degree of, regardless of how safe you are, you always have that factor, right? There could be breakthrough cases, and if you have a breakthrough case, if you have a hospital that is at 90% plus capacity, then that presents more problems. Now, if Fort Collins, Colorado doesn't have that same issue, then I would encourage to hopefully get some normalcy back and to see some live events. I as somebody who started VGC in Gen 8, right? We only got a very big, like a little taste of what the VGC scene was like before it had to go into this weird state of COVID, right? And so I think that there is value to that, and there is value to that, especially for this like resurgence in VGC interest that's happened over Gen 8. But it's got to happen in the places where it can happen. I don't think Austin's that place right now, but hopefully we will be soon. I mean, hopefully by November. That to me sounds like something that could be feasible if people start putting their fucking heads together and getting this shit together.
Yeah, I think in a sense of COVID, like, I don't want to say helping or hurting, because then it sounds like a blessing in disguise, or I don't want it to make it sound like that. The pandemic was an absolute horrible thing, and there's no way to like sugarcoat that. But like you're saying, live events happened for a short time, and then COVID hit when Gen 8 happened. So there's a lot of people that were introduced to the series and live events in general. I'm actually a VGC player since 2014, so I've been going to all the local scenes back in New York, New Jersey. I've been down in Virginia, and really all over. And I did get to go to some here, obviously, in Texas before COVID hit. But where I'm trying to go and pick at with the whole blessing in disguise type of thing, there are some players that completely stopped playing Pokemon when COVID hit, and they lost their motivation because there was no longer live events. But there is online events, and there are tons and tons of players. I think it's a higher thing where more people got into VGC then got away from it during COVID, if that makes sense. Where you could just play from your home, and honestly, playing in online events is more easily accessible.
It is. I mean, the first tournaments I ever played in. I mean, the first tournament I ever played in was the Champions Cup, the one by A Drive and Wolfie Glick, which was right at the beginning of COVID.
The Champions Cup, I think they called it.
Yeah, Champions Cup. That's what I said. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that was the first tournament I played in. I've played in like a couple of Rose Tower tournaments. I never really did that well. But all of my stuff has been virtual. I've never gotten to go in person. Honestly, me and my partner, one of our like dream vacations that we want to do is we want to go visit some of these places. Like I want to go to the Oceania tournament because I want to see Sydney, Australia, right? And then there's an excuse to go, because you're gonna go see these big Pokemon matches. So like I want to go do those kind of things again, and that was kind of like our plan to like go see a bunch of different spots throughout the world, and then COVID hit. So I would love for it to pick back up. There's an argument, and we talk about it a lot on Geeklife, where we really didn't we really weren't truly in the digital age until COVID for a lot of different reasons, and I think that. Again, I know you're trying to like kind of walk around like I don't want to say COVID was a good thing. I do think that is true, that we weren't in the digital age until really truly into the digital age till COVID. And I think that being fully in the digital age by far has helped online engagement in tournaments and VGC and things like that. So in that route, you could argue that it helped, but only through those lenses,
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I do want to add to that, and absolutely strongly go with Littlest Nelly in the chat there, bringing up how during the pandemic we started to have those online events, and where we see a rise in femme players, right? Where we had the women's tour was the original series, and then later changed to the Hatterene series, which is incredible. That is phenomenal for VGC. Because before COVID hit, all these it was very toxic sometimes to go for women and non-binary people, where it just wasn't so easy to play the game. But now that we're having these series, a lot more people are excited about the game, and they want to show their skills and what they're capable of doing. It's a great thing.
Yeah, and I want more Simone Lim stories, as Little Snelly's pointing out there. I mean, we featured Simone Lim in our intro there, if you guys didn't catch that, but we're big fans of her as well. And there's just something different about being able to follow someone's journey when they're there at the event, right? And you can see their face, and you can see everyone reacting, and just that match, right? I remember at the end of that match, like she was all like timid and shy, and like all of her friends were coming up around her and all that stuff like that. As accessible as online tournaments are, you can't get that, and I think that does have some value. So I'd love to be able to return to that when it is safe, and maybe in Fort Collins, Colorado, it is safe, and hopefully that is the case. But until then, there are plenty of benefits that we have to these online formats, and bringing in femme players that feel more comfortable on the accessibility level, I think is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well said.
Yep. All right, well, that will bring us to the end of our headlines tonight. And with the end of our headlines, that'll bring us to our first segment here on Silph Co Sports. And our first segment tonight is going to be a little segment we like to call Hot or Not, where we talk about the new factors in the competitive meta in both Unite and VGC and decide whether they are hot or not. All right, Nibbs, you're up first. What you got for me?
All right, Dotson. I am very curious what your opinion is of the non-meta restricteds in Series 10. We talked about earlier the usage stats in Series 10 and how the top picks right now for restricteds are Zacian, Xerneas, Kyogre, and Calyrex Shadow Rider. They're the top four. They're easily at the very top. It's a little bit easier or well-designed to build around them. But when we're talking about non-meta restricteds in Series 10, I want to know what you think of building around Reshiram, Zygarde, Palkia, Dialga. What's your take? Are they good? Okay. Are they hot? Are they not?
Okay, so controversial opinion. Don't want to start off a segment like this, but I am. I'm gonna go with not, and the reason I go with not is because one, I'm super annoyed when I see non-meta restricteds on a team. Although there is some argument that Reshiram is working for some people. I've seen
You're not just saying that, are you?
X-Rays Ovation. I see X-Rays Ovation using a lot of Reshiram teams right now, and submitting a lot of rental code teams for Reshiram teams. And I have seen a Zygarde team. But it seems to me like a lot of times when people want to use these kind of off-meta restricted, that they're just trying to go for this gimmicky team, and it doesn't really work against the good old boys of Series 10, right? If it doesn't get rid of Zacian, if it doesn't get rid of Xerneas, you're gonna have a bad time. And if that's the case, in my opinion, yeah, non-meta restricteds, they gotta be a knot. Yeah.
Oh man.
But my question for you now, while we're talking about Series 10, right, and we're talking about some of these new metas, my hot or not for you is Ditto in Series 10, okay? Ditto, and particularly Choice Scarf Ditto, has been on a lot of teams recently because, you know, you're in a meta where the restricted Mon is kind of your big gun of the show, right? That's going to be your sweeper. That's going to be the one that's the bread and butter to the team. And if you can just fucking copy that shit and Ditto it on the other side, you might have a pretty good advantage. What do you think? Ditto Season 10, hot or not?
I think my answer here is very easy. It's an easy, hard yes there, Dotson. Point number one is that it's Upsmash's favorite Pokemon, and he did not tell me to say that before stream. Also, number two is, as you mentioned there, Dotson, your favorite thing to have on your team, the biggest thing is the restricted Pokemon. Right. You now have a Pokemon that you can leave in the back, and if your opponent leads with it, you can just slap it out there and say, hey, I want it too. And there's a rental code that has been passed around between, I've seen some of the better players use it, Big Slim being one of them, and then Battle Room, I've seen him using it as well on stream. Typically was using it as well, and I was too.
I want to use that Ditto team too. That looks like a lot of fun.
So that Ditto team has Focus Sash Ditto on it, and honestly, like, I kind of think that's the best way to do it, because then you can just throw it out on yeah, exactly. One thing that I like to do with Ditto personally is I try to call the restricted lead and just try to pick what side it is, because it's like a little gambling game within itself.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, your restricted's going to be on my right side, so I'm going to pick, Incineroar and put Ditto on the right, and then boom, I got your Zacian.
There you go. There you go.
You know what I mean?
That is fun. I think that it was a lot of fun to play with in Series 10, and I'm glad to see more teams. It's been the rise of Ditto. I love to see Ditto out of the daycare and into the on some teams here. I like Choice Scarf Ditto because I know I'm faster than you every single time. You know, it's a guaranteed I'm faster than you. And I like speed control, and that's a fun form of speed control for me. So I would definitely have to agree with you there. What's next? What you got for me?
All right, yeah, so what I got for you is the rise of Entei, hot or not. Like I mentioned earlier on stream, the big usage in Entei came from Players Cup, the 25th anniversary stream when Wolfie Glick started using it, and it was Choice Scarf Entei in that time, but arguably you can run it in any type of way. It gets access to Roar, it gets all these support moves, it gets Snarl, you can put an Assault Vest on it if you want to. Who knows what Entei is going to do? Is it hot or not? All
right, so I'm a little iffy on this one. I don't want to go with two knots right back to back though, so I'm going to go with hot, okay? Entei's always fun, right? Entei is a super fun Pokemon to just have out there. I haven't quite figured out the best way to use him. I guess it's just, I kind of think of him as like superpowered Arcanine for the most part, but he's not really, like, I don't know. He's definitely a fun one to use, and honestly, I'm all for seeing stuff that shakes up the meta. And right now I do feel like Entei is one of the Mons that is kind of shaking up the meta a little bit. And so in that regard, absolutely hot. I've used a couple of teams with Entei on it now in Series 10. So I would be remiss to say not if I did. Also, Entei's got Scarlet Witch powers. If you don't understand that, you can watch some of my TikToks and you'll get it. But yeah, that's what I'm going with. Definitely hot. What about you? I'm guessing you agree. I'm guessing you feel similar about Entei.
I think Sacred Fire is definitely hot.
Yeah.
Entei is a fire type, so it must be hot. But in all seriousness, yeah, I do think Entei is really good. I think it's hard to check. The fact that it gets access to inner focus, so you can't fake it out. I think that's massive in a format that's not Dynamax, especially when.
I will say that I did not know that the first time I went up against an Entei in this
Mm-hmm.
format, and I totally tried to fake out that Entei, and it was like, what the hell are you doing? Extreme speed, fuck you, you know, like.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But the cool thing about Entei is the fact that you can run it in so many different ways. I really like the safety goggles roar tech that Wolfie used to get to number 1. That's probably my favorite one that I've seen so far. But yeah, it's just very good. What do you have for me next there, Doc?
All right. If I have to ask you one thing, let's talk about some Unite news, and let's talk about some of these updates out here. Pirate Charizard, hot or not? I don't know how you could say not when it's a pirate fucking Charizard. Any pirate Pokemon should automatically register as hot, right, Nibbs?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It's going to be hard to say no to that. Charizard's definitely cool, especially here when I'm sitting next to you. Charizard and pirate in the same sentence is definitely a very good thing. I think I saw Sir Wilson in the chat earlier too. He's a big Charizard fan.
Yeah, he's a big Charizard
It seems like
fan.
Charizard's going to go up a lot in usage in Unite, I think. And I do kind of sort of think part of it has to do with what it's wearing.
Yeah, and speaking of Sir Wilson, I don't know if you saw this, Sir Wilson, but they gave Talonflame a huge buff.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out there. That's going to be really, really dangerous in the meta. That's the last. That's one of the last mons that needed a buff was Talonflame.
So I'm somebody that likes to watch, and I know this is kind of going off like a teeny tiny bit. I'm somebody that likes to watch the view count on all the different Pokemon platforms just because I'm interested. You know, Unite hit, and it just totally took it by storm. It immediately had like 200K plus views on Twitch, and Pokemon Sword and Shield dropped all the way down to like 2,000 at the most. Like it was right around there. So yesterday I looked, and Sword and Shield had 4.5 thousand views at some point, and Unite had like 2.6 or something like that. Today, if you look today, Pokemon Unite had 133,000 views on Twitch. I don't know what it is at this very second, but it had 133,000.
Oh, I'm gonna go to Twitch to see if I can see what the numbers are right now.
And Sword and Shield had like
it's still killing it. It right now, currently, right now live. 23.1K viewers on Unite and 9.9K viewers on Sword and Shield. It's been honestly very impressive that that Sword and Shield has kind of kept toe in toe. Honestly, it's impressive that Sword and Shield still has the following that it does, being that it's a 3-year-old game at this point. Okay, I like to remind people that Sword and Shield came out in 2019. I know we've been through a hell of a couple of years, but it's been like 3 years since that game came out. And we're like right around the corner of its third anniversary here in November, and for it to be still pulling 9.9K viewers on there, I think is really, really impressive. But yeah, Pokemon Unite spiking up and overcoming it with 23.1K. I do remember that first couple of weeks though, everyone was like, I don't see this changing anytime soon, kind of thing. And it did change. It absolutely changed, and the momentum went back to VGC.
It took a little bit longer than most people would think, and honestly, I will say that it did take VGC away from a lot of people too. Some of our favorite content creators, I'm going to call them out right now. Saiyan Bush Sr., one of my favorite people. I don't think I'm going to ever see him play VGC again, because all this dude wants to do is pick up Blastoise and run Rapid Spin with it. But Dotson, that kind of brings me into my next question for you, I think.
Yes, back on target.
All right. So is it hot or not, Dotson? Blastoise in Pokemon Unite in general, just after it got released, we saw it taken over and becoming overpowered. It is something that is intermediate in usage when it comes to using it. I mean, it's not easy to just pick up and use it, but when you figure out how to do it, it becomes what seems like overpowered with the Rapid Spin. And I don't honestly. You can help me with what more it runs, but I know that when I watch Saiyan use that thing, I am just like, damn.
No, it's crazy. I believe it's Surf, Hydro Pump, Rapid Spin. I can't remember what the last one is, but you don't really need to because everyone runs that. But it basically is this Ice Beam or Scald, and I think that this is an absolute Scald situation. Blastoise is killing it in Unite right now. Blastoise is hands down. I think the best defender, probably arguably the best Pokemon to be able to use right now. You need one on your team, hands down. And I'm kind of surprised that Blastoise didn't get nerfed hard. They will come after my boy Cindy with the nerfs all day long, but they're gonna leave Blastoise on the field like that. That's not fair, Nibbs. I'm telling you, it's not fair. All right, but Blastoise is hot as hell right now. He doesn't even need a Shell Smash.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that Blastoise is hot right now. If it's not on your team, I think that you are at a disadvantage. And if you don't know how to play around it, you can't win. You just can't win if you don't know how to just stay away from it when it does its alt move or when it goes for the Shell Smash. You got to get out of there. We were talking about it before when we had our playoff match.
Water Spout was the other one. Water Spout, that was it.
Water Spout, yeah. But when you're playing against Blastoise, you got to have a lot of CC on your team and crowd control. And you just have to know how to play around it, and it's not easy. Sometimes that's not even enough.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I've got the last one for you, Nibbs. My question, is it hot or not? Zapdos in literally everything. Zapdos is fucking popular as hell right now. We've seen Zapdos in the VGC Series 10. We've seen Zapdos in Unite. There's been a lot of conversations about it in Unite. There's been some conversations about it in VGC. Probably not as much as it needs to. But I'm asking you right now, Nibbs, Zapdos, hot or not in literally everything?
Oh man, I'm gonna need some water after that question because Zapdos is so hot. Oh my goodness, I might have to take my jacket off. I'm gonna need to strip down as much as I possibly can. I am sweating out of my mind just thinking about Zapdos. Yeah, Zapdos and literally everything is so good. Obviously, we know my stance on Zapdos in Unite early meta when Nibbs is so biased. Oh my goodness, so awesome. I am a little bit biased as I did use Grimzap Lap as a core in VGC for more than 6 months for Series 7, Series 8, and Series 9. I used the same 3 core for pretty much the entirety of it. I'm not joking in any way. Yeah, even Series 8, I used it as well. It was Lapdog. Grimzap Lapdog is what I like to call it. But yeah, Zapdos and literally everything is great. It can be a win condition in Unite, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be you can use it as an advantage point too when you're playing defensively. You know that the other team has to get Zapdos in order to win. That means that you're going to defend it and you don't want to KO it. So yeah, easily Zapdos and everything very hot.
Super duper hot. I don't think there is a hotter Pokemon right now. And I mean, like, it even got a Galarian form. It got the best Galarian form, in my opinion. Maybe not competitively, but like looks wise, I mean, it's a big burb and he's got the little Roadrunner thing.
I think competitively it got the best one too. I do.
Yeah, it gets coaching.
Out of the other, it gets coaching. It also gets Defiant. So you don't want to necessarily. Well, you kind of do, and you don't care if you want to lead your Incineroar against it because it's just. Zapdos is not that great, but I mean you can say that, and then
a thunderous kick to Incineroar is devastating.
Once you see Thunderous Kick come out and go into your Incineroar, you're gonna regret hearing what I just said and taking that advice. But yeah, I definitely think that Kanto Zapdos and Galarian Zapdos are both. I think they're
Sir
both
Wilson's in there repping the tuxedo mask Articuno with the competitive Galar form. Yeah, competitive is good. I mean it's a real good ability. It's a real good ability. That Freezing Glare, I never know how to play around Freezing Glare either. That's always one.
It does also get Trick Room too. Articuno does, and that's pretty cool. But I still think it's garbage.
Tuxedo Kuno. Yep. All right, well, that will take us to our break, guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us. But we got plenty more to come when we come back. We've got our own spotlighted match of the week, as well as our top 5 plays of the week. So don't go anywhere. Stay right here. We got tons more for you guys. Before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to let's see, Power Snack, who gave us a follow a little while ago, and shout out to everybody that's hanging out here and chat with us. Upsmash, Savage, Littlest Nelly, Pickley. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and chatting with us on our first ever episode of Silph Co Sports here. Yeah, that's all I've got. Do you got anything before we go to break?
I don't think so. I'm gonna get some water really fast.
Let's do that. Let's get some water. Let's stretch your legs a little bit, and we'll see you guys in like 5 or 10 minutes. Peace. Silph Co Sports, your source for all the VGC and Unite news and all the other things that we do here because we do it. We're still working on slogans, guys. It's our first episode. We've got an exciting highlight match of the week for you guys today, which is our next segment that we got coming up here, where we commentate a match that we've spotlighted either from a draft league, either from some of our friends that are some great competitive players, wherever we can. If you guys are interested in submitting a match for us to commentate and highlight here on the show, definitely get in touch with us. Join our Discord. We actually have a place where you can submit those. You can find the link to our Discord below where it says join the Nerd Herd. But Nibbs, tonight we have a special match for us. What do we have on the plate for us tonight?
All right, so we have something that I would like to not look at anymore. Honestly, after it happened, I had already reviewed it probably about 5 or 6 different times. So that is something. But it is actually a league matchup between myself and Ninopoke Bros in something that we call the Low Rollers Draft League VGC.
Not the High Rollers.
It's not the High Rollers, it's the Low Rollers. It was a $25 entry fee, and you can win money after every match if you win. If you win at least one game, then you get more points or something, and you can make the playoffs and win the whole thing and win a big prize. But basically, the format is what you would think of as Series 10 rules, but no restricteds. Yep.
Okay. Series 10 rules, no restricteds. So without further ado, let's go into the team preview and see what we got here for us tonight. So Nibbs, why don't you start us off with what you got here?
All right, so on my team here, what I brought against Ninopoke Bros was Corviknight, Jellicent, Tyranitar, Duraludon, Volcarona, and Morpeko.
Nice. And for the Poke Bros, they're coming in with a Boltund, Zoroark, a Lucario, Celesteela, one of the Poke Bros' favorites, Tornadus, and Pelipper. So a little bit of a rain here on this side. You probably have a little bit of a rain strategy over there with Ludicolo as well. And obviously Tornadus can help that situation as well there. What were the big threats you were worried about on Nino's side with this team?
Yeah, so the big things, obviously he wants to bring the weather. He's got the Tornadus, which gets access to Prankster and Rain Dance, which later on we might see why it's such a cool tech. He also has the Pelipper that has the Drizzle ability, which automatically brings up the rain and sets up Rain Dance. And since he has that, I kind of want to counter that a little bit with the sand of my own, or the weather of my own in the sand. And do everything that I could. I wanted to have some fake out usage, so I brought out my fastest fake out user in Morpeko. The only fake out user on his team that it does not outspeed is Ludicolo when it's in the rain. And I had some redirection there with the Volcarona as well with Rage Powder. So something to look for there, but we do have our leads here in turn number 1, and it looks like Nino is going to lead with the Pelipper and the Boltund, and I am going to start things off with Morpeko and a Jellicent.
So interesting that the Pelipper did not activate the rain here when it came in. But you've got a Boltund and Pelipper on one side, of course. The Jellicent's not really in a place. I mean, other than worrying about the Boltund there. I mean, you kind of do have a good matchup here, right? You kind of got squared off. You got electric and water on both sides. It's all just about the speed matchup at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely what it would appear to be, but you straight up called out the fact that there was no rain and no drizzle turn 1, right? So being the fact that there's no rain and you see a Zoroark on the opposing side of the field, it is very easy to assume that Pokemon that Nino has that is pretending to be Pelipper is actually a Zoroark. And we are going to see the Dark Pulse come out, and that goes into Jellicent.
That's probably a very good call.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he does get the fake out there with the Pelipper. I think this is actually game number 2, but that's okay.
Yeah, so definitely a good turn if you're the Poke Bros here. You're sitting with a healthy Boltund, a healthy Pelipper, and the Jellicent on the other side obviously has taken a hell of a whole lot of damage from a Dark Pulse. So that's most likely not the Pelipper it seems to be, if I had to guess. Aurora Wheel coming out from Morpeko into Bolton. It's going to take it almost all the way down to just a sliver of health there. And activating that berry, bringing it about right up to 50%-ish in there. We got a Volt Switch coming out into Duraludon. Not very effective, but we're going to get that recall on the Bolton. And looks like we're going to have to wait just a second here for who is going to come in. Maybe it's that Pelipper. We don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you noticed the damage output that the Duraludon took there from, I think it was the Dark Pulse in the Zoroark. We now do see that Pelipper is actually on the field and Drizzle gets set. So it is way more than confirmed at this point that it's Zoroark, as we are going to see a U-turn come out. We know Pelipper doesn't have access to Dark Pulse, so that's how we know that was who that was, and it is revealed there at the top now, which is a pretty cool feature of the spectator mode. So we do see a double switch there, a Volt Switch and a U-turn there from Nino, and he's going to completely bring his backside into the match, and now he's going to have Ludicolo and Pelipper and access to the rain, a faster fake out. Yeah, he's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, just an absolutely dominant setup here with the Rain team, because, I mean, Ludicolo in the Rain is definitely something you don't want to see against any team right here, let alone, you know, pretty much, you know, a Morpeko with 41 HP left. I mean, Duraludon can take some water-type attacks, but the odds are against it at this point, for sure. Unless you got, you know, some mean Thunderbolts that you can start shooting off with Duraludon, there's not really much that you can do to return fire here.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of a funny thing that you say that. This, I don't know if I'm supposed to say what the set is on this Duraludon just yet, but we are going to see the Morpeko go out, and Jellicent is going to take its spot. Giga Drain is going to come out into the Duraludon, which really I can tell you guys and can confirm that this is an Assault Vest, and that's why that's not going to do so much. We do see the U-turn come out from the Pelipper, so Pelipper is going to return back to Nino, and we're going to take a minute and see what comes in exchange. So yeah, the Pelipper taking a little bit of damage there. It is going to be the Bolton, and I will mention really fast too that think about the situation that I would be if I did not get Dark Pulse flinched in turn 1. I mean, Ludicolo has the rain up, so it's super fast. Bolton, which is not Bolton, it's actually Zoroark, is going to be faster than both of these Pokemon on my side of the field. So yeah, here we stand with Duraludon, Jellicent on my side, and for Nino, it is Zoroark and Ludicolo.
Yeah, Ninopoke Bro is doing a lot of tricky things with that Zoroark. I keep saying Zeraora. I'm in Unite mode, my bad. The Zoroark being really tricky with it, and especially, I mean, like, you know, you definitely don't want to see Bolton come out when you have Jellicent on the other side of the field, especially in the rain like that. But it's not really even that much better having Zoroark over there either. The Dark Pulses, I mean, that's something that absolutely threatens it with 88 HP left. It doesn't look like it's going to last much longer. And so I guess the withdrawal there on Jellicent is probably the best bet. And we see Corviknight switched in for Nibbs. A good bird right there. Definitely 2 steel types on the other side is probably the best bet in this situation. An Ice Beam coming right into Duraludon. Still not doing too much. Zoroark going out with the Dark Pulse. Going in, doing about 40 damage to Corviknight there, and a Thunderbolt heading into Ludicolo, and that will take it not even to half health. So a fairly safe switch in here for Nibbs, but still not doing the damage that you really want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, the steel types being on my side of the field, I think that is in big favor, as the rain isn't going to hit it as quite as hard as maybe Nino would want it to. It's more so just to resist from, you know, could have been a Dark Pulse coming out from the Zoroark. It could have been a Giga Drain coming out from the Ludicolo. All these super effective attacks are just not going to do quite as much. We are in the rain, however, so rain moves or water moves are boosted, and fire moves are not. However, this Corviknight here is going to go down to 88 HP. And we're going to see a Snarl come out from Duraludon into both of these Pokemon doing chip damage, and they're both special attackers, as we see a special attacking filled team for Ninopoke Bros. We're going to see a bulk up come out on my Corviknight there, boosting its attack and defense stats, making it a little bit harder harder hitting, I should say. I was going to say harder to KO, but not when he has so many special attacking Pokemon on his side of the field.
Yeah, you got that Scald hitting you in the rain. The defense is not really helping you too much there. But well, with Ludicolo coming back, that might be a good position. And Pelipper coming back out here for the Ninopoke Bros. You kind of wonder why you would do that right as the rain has been going up this long. You want to make sure that you can reset that. Bolton switching in as well for the Zoroark. Thunderbolt going into Pelipper, and that's going to take it all the way down to a Focus Sash, which, I mean, I guess that's the position that you want to be in right now. Roost coming off from Corviknight, definitely well needed for Nibb's side, bringing it almost all the way back up to full HP with that defense and the rain withdrawing. A little bit of a odd positioning here for Nino.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But the one thing is that I mentioned that Trick Room not getting off in turn 1 is just going to come around potentially to hinder me. You know, Nino has these Pokemon that are just naturally faster. In Bolton, you're going to see that here. Outspeeds the Corviknight and lands a Raw Thunder, not in the rain, brings Corviknight all the way down to 30 HP. We're going to see a Scald come out in a situation where I remember I was streaming this Smash and I said, oh man, Nino, if you doubled in, you got me there. But instead of getting me there, he is going to bring Duraludon all the way down to 65 HP and burn it in the meantime. Pelipper is going to go down to a Snarl. We're going to see competitive come out as the Bolton was also hit with a Snarl. Competitive, when your stack gets lowered, it actually goes up. That's a weird way to say it. Basically, if it gets dropped, it boosts it instead. So I took his Bolton down to -1, and it's actually a +1 now because it goes down first and then up 2 stages.
It goes down 1 and then up 2 stages, so you end up getting a boost from it. You got a burn Duraludon on Nibb's side, and a Bolton just at a sliver of HP there, but we know that Bolton's attacking first. We know it's got a boost on its attack, and we do have Pelipper out of the picture now, so you don't have the rain in the equation. Things are looking a bit better on Nibb's side of the field, but again, burn Duraludon and about 130 HP left on your Corviknight. You really can't take too many more of those Thunders, especially with that specially boosted Bolton. You took down 70 HP for the last one. You can probably only take 1 to 2 more, especially if it gets another boost. So definitely a precarious position for honestly both players right now. Ludicolo being the hardest hitter over there. Zoroark, you know, it's not necessarily got anything that's got any advantages on Corviknight. So honestly, if you can get Ludicolo out of the way here, well, you need to get Bolton out of the way too. If you can get both these Mons out of the way here, you're in a great position.
Yeah, and the kind of funny interaction here that's going on, you see pressure with the Corviknight being switched out and going back to myself, funnily enough. Fake Out's going to come out from the Ludicolo into the proper spot, maybe predicting the fact that I was predicting Thunder. Coming from the Bolton. Instead, it's going to be a Roar coming out from the Bolton on Nino's side of the field. So my Corviknight that switched out, got rid of the pressure or the unnerve. I keep saying that. The unnerve, making that Ludicolo too nervous to eat berries. As soon as it goes back to my Pokeball, it eats the citrus berry, regains health. Jellicent gets roared out back into my ball, and now Corviknight is back onto the field, and I'm not in a great position because now Nino can just go for Thunder this time, and I'm in trouble. Where I could have just attacked, I could have gone for Roost and gotten a free switch out and free health. But Nino being a great trainer, and he's been on such a tear lately, man. He held his own tournaments oftentimes, and he actually won his last one on Friday, which had some incredible trainers in it. Roller Coaster is being one of them.
Shout out to Roller Coaster. I think he got third.
He got third in that event, and he's also been playing well, but he's been playing well for a long time now. So we are going to see Jellicent come back out.
Yep.
And Thunder does come out, and it misses this time around, which is nice because I have Awaken Berry, and Nino doesn't know it. Flash Cannon comes out from the Duraludon, goes into the Bolton, and that is going to pick up the KO. We do see Ice Beam come out, and it is just going to be into the Duraludon, picking up the KO after burn damage. So funnily enough, Pelipper gets the KO for that because it burned me, I believe.
Yep, and it looks like, well, we're still waiting for, I believe the Corviknight's still in here. Now, is the Corviknight down?
Corviknight's still alive. You can see it at the top of the screen there.
Yeah, there you go.
That are,
So we still got Corviknight and Zoroark still left in here. Now, this is not, again, if you can get, and more Pekko as well. If you can get Corviknight in a good position here, though, Ludicolo and Zoroark aren't that big of threats to it, but you've got to get that HP up. If it's at just a little bit of a slither of help, both of these Mons are fairly quick and can get those KOs in for sure. But with more Pekko and Jellicent out there, looks like we're trying to set up for something, but we've got 41 HP and 88 HP. It's a bit of a risky position.
Yeah, definitely. I think Nino can kind of pick either slot here. He probably doubles into the Jellicent and just goes Dark Pulse and Giga Drain both into the Jellicent, knowing that he will get the KO no matter what I try to do. I just opt for the play that maybe he doesn't do that, and I kind of pick a 50-50 where I go for the fake out into the Zoroark, so that way it can't go for a Dark Pulse. Giga Drain, however, does come from the Ludicolo and goes into the Jellicent, gets the KO, and now we're in a 2v2 situation to end out the game number 1. We do see Corviknight come back onto the field. It has 130 base power, and has 130 HP remaining. So not the worst case scenario, but not necessarily ideal.
And you've got a pretty frail Morpeko with just 41 HP there too. I mean, that's just one hit away from getting out of there. Now it's switching back between those dark and electric types, and it's definitely going to resist Zoroark. I keep on mixing those two up. It's going to resist Zoroark and those dark pulses, but it really has nothing to defend against Ludicolo and the Scald and Giga Drain and everything else like that. And honestly, I think one Giga Drain will take it out. And I'm pretty sure Ludicolo is actually faster than Morpeko, so the speed advantage is definitely on Nino's side.
It actually is not.
Oh no.
It is in the rain, but it's not when Switch Swim is.
Oh,
not.
That's right. Very, very true. And you see the Burning Jealousy come off into Corviknight, leaving about 60% of that health left to protect on Morpeko, keeping him safe. And the Scald coming off, leaving Corviknight with just 27 HP of Body Press coming off into Zoroark, and that will KO Zoroark. Ludicolo sitting there alone. It's Ludicolo against the world. And
yes,
27 HP on Corviknight and Morpeko with 41 HP. This actually could work out for Nibbs here. If you get a couple of good moves off with I mean, honestly, if you can land anything with both of those Mons on Ludicolo, you could possibly get it out. But they are also sitting at just a sliver of health, and you worry just one move and they could go down.
Yeah, we do see Arwell come out from the Morpeko here in this situation, brings it down to just under 50% health. Scald coming out from the faster Ludicolo, outspeeds the Corviknight, brings it down so it doesn't get an attack off. But as you can see here, Dodson, the timer is at 25 seconds.
Oh no.
So yeah, so actually this does go the way that it looks like it does, where timer just rings, where neither one of us get to pick a move.
Oh no, a run Aurora Wheel right here finishes the game, and that would definitely take out Ludicolo. But if you're in Nino and you want to win this, you wait out that timer, because you technically have more HP right now with 71 to that 41 Morpeko. And what a way for that match to end. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
That was game number 1, and it went to timer. I like to make the joke that Morpeko never got KO'd. It's the littlest, tiniest thing, and nobody uses it in anything ever. Here I am. I drafted it last on my team, 11th on my team, and it didn't die. It did not die.
It was the little one that could, man. Morpeko, I mean, Morpeko is really great. Aurora Wheel with that ability to up your speed, and access to fake out. I mean, just those two alone are really good. Not to mention the fact that it can switch between electric and dark. That's it can be pretty handy. I think it's much more handy than people give it credit for in the current meta.
Yeah, Savage, I do believe that you were there in my stream when I was doing it. It was last Saturday. The most recent Saturday that just happened. I did stream that live on my personal channel. That was all I did that day. And yeah, I streamed it. It didn't look anything like this, because this feed is actually coming from Nino's like host feed or whatever, which is kind of weird, because most of the time you're seeing it from my perspective. Like, it looks like it's me, right?
Right. No, it does. It's from your side of the field for
Yeah.
sure. But this is a little bit of a taste of that spectator mode. I gotta say, for our particular setup here, I don't know if it's ideally the best, but it is a fun one to be able to watch these matches on. And I mean, we definitely appreciate it that they were able to do it. Looks like we got the matches up here again. Same teams, same squads, same threats to worry about. The rain definitely playing an advantage on Poke Bros side, but man, one can only hope that we can get more Pekko in a better position and it can take out that final hit on Ludicolo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dotson, I gotta ask you, since I'm the one that did play this game, is there anything that you think that I should? What kind of adjustments do you think that I should be making here in game number 2 to try and come back and get the win? Knowing that I lost on timer, so not necessarily did I do anything wrong. I did, by the way, but
yeah,
not necessarily that was the case. But when it was all said and done, I just had a less percentage of HP points at the end of the set.
I think if there was a lineup change that would have made, I would have brought in T-Tar. And that's just so that you could have a little bit more weather control, and you could have changed that a little bit earlier. But I don't know, like that still ended up not being like, you still ended up handling that pretty well in that first match. So that's not necessarily the biggest problem there. I think that you know, just there was a lot of kind of like meta choices that were there. The whole pressure mistake and giving Ludicolo that extra little sliver of health. I mean, that could have been a huge changer. I mean, if that health ended up being the thing that won it for Ludicolo, that extra health. So
I didn't think about that. But I will say, if I did leave Corviknight in, who knows if it would have stayed on the field as long as it was able to. But Bolton did go for a Thunder shortly after that, not immediately. And he did Roar the following turn too, predicting me to switch out. But Thunder did miss. So you always have that chance, especially when the rain is gone. But we do have our leads here in game number 2. It is going to be me leading with the Corviknight and the Volcarona, and Nino getting the Drizzle up, so we know that at least the Pelipper is not the Zoroark, and Ludicolo being its ally.
Yep, this is a more familiar lead for the classic rain squad that is Pelipper and Ludicolo. Volcarona and Corviknight on the other side, very interesting choices. I always get nervous about fire types in the rain, for sure, but you know, Volcarona, it's a very interesting mon. It's got a lot of different kind of ways it can be used, so I think that it's one of those that you probably could put it out there in the rain and get something out of it. But if I'm on your side, Nibbs, I'm a little worried about that bug, and he comes back, so that makes sense.
Yes, I do go for the switch out, predicting a double into that slot. So I'm going to bring my Water Absorb Mon out, who takes super effective, you know, and we're actually just going to see a double into the Corviknight here, which was massive,
what a call.
Absolutely massive.
What a call. And a burn.
Yeah, I get burned.
Man.
And then I go for the Brave Bird, so I take some recoil damage. Brave Bird going into Ludicolo is super effective, and it's going to bring it down to 50% health, right around there. It brings my HP down to 10, and then the burn ends up getting me. So great read there from Nino, and then the berry to kind of polish that one all off. So Nino making that read there was incredible. Knowing that I was going to stay in with my Corviknight, thinking I was going to be able to take some hits. He also, Pickley in the chat mentioning that he knew that Corviknight didn't have Protect. That is a great point too. So you know that you're getting something. You're at least getting a lot of damage off in the rain.
Oh man, a T-Tar switch in instead of Jellicent there would have meant the whole rain came off, right? The whole speed tiers backwards, right? And you probably would have gotten Corviknight. I don't know if Corviknight's faster than Ludicolo in that situation, but
it's not.
Well, you still at least force a withdrawal from Pelipper the next turn. But oh man, that what you gotta give it off to Nino there with a call, a double scald that had to work just the way it did to get the KO though, right? If he hadn't gotten the burn, which he had twice as many chances to with 2 scalds, you know, then that wouldn't have been anything. And then we see a favorite for the Poke Bros coming out here with Celesteela. Ludicolo coming out with a Giga Drain onto Jellicent, bringing it down to 127 HP. And Tyranitar coming off with a Dragon Dance on Nibbs' side. And this could be a moment for a Trick Room here if this happens. Oh, Ice Beam coming out from Jellicent into Ludicolo. And that's going to take it and freezes a frozen Ludicolo in the Sandstorm, because that's how weather works here in the Pokemon universe. Wow, he got stuck in a weird position there.
I was thinking the same thing.
He's
as
like
well,
doing
yeah.
a squat.
Yeah, I would have gone for the Trick Room, but it felt kind of awkward to click Trick Room and Dragon Dance in the same turn. But honestly, looking in hindsight, I think Ludicolo, if the rain comes out, then it does. I do still outspeed, or underspeed rather, in Trick Room. But we do see the Corviknight going back to Nino here, and Pelipper resetting the weather, bringing the rain back in, and we're gonna see a tech here from Nino in a Scald that melts ice, actually. So if you're frozen, Scald will thaw you out. It's now in the rain, super effective stab, brings Tyranitar all the way down to 39 HP. We're going to go for a Rock Slide here and do tons of damage to Pelipper. It's going to pick up a KO into Pelipper. However, that Ludicolo dancing its way around the Rock Slide and getting the dodge.
Yep,
Ice
you get
Beam
that
does
Focus
come
Sash
out.
on Pelipper. That'll finish off the Pelipper there for the turn. But yeah, Pickly in chat. That Skull was vicious is vicious. I thought that was funny. I thought it was hilarious. But
Yeah,
Bolton
so
coming
we
in.
do. We do see Bolton come out here. One thing I will say, actually, maybe I should. Maybe we should just watch it happen. So yeah, go ahead.
Bolton coming out here in the rain with Ludicolo on the other side. Yeah, things are looking a little bit scary, because that Tyranitar, I mean, it's in a very dangerous spot. You got, especially with Ludicolo on the other side there, I mean, there's more than one ways that Ludicolo can fuck that Tyranitar's day up. So, and then you got Bolton over there that really putting that threat on Jellicent. And so, yeah, sure enough, you see T-Tar come back. You see Volcarona come out, which also can't take a lot of the same water moves onto that slot. So we'll see how that takes into 31 HP. And Bolton coming out with a Thunder. And we see that Berry procced on Jellicent. And it survives the Thunder with 45 HP. And we get the Trick Room off for Nibbs. That actually could be a huge play there, especially when you got T-Tar in the back and you have a way to change that weather immediately. Yeah, so well, there was a lot of HP loss there. Still, situationally, do you think you've been able to turn this around for yourself?
Well, I think in this specific situation where I'm sitting right now, before I make my next move, I think I'm in a great spot.
Yeah.
I think that there's ways to come from behind here and try to pick things up. I have access to recover, I believe, on the Jellicent, and then my Volcarona, as it stands, outspeeds both of these Pokemon in Trick Room. But the one thing that I will say is Jellicent is going to go back to me. Tyranitar is going to come out and reset the weather. So now here's the thing. Max speed Ludicolo in the sand, 122. Volcarona speed, 125 right now.
Oh no.
Ludicolo, yeah. So Ludicolo in Trick Room does outspeed me because I decided to change the weather. And Scald comes out and it's going to KO, and Volt Switch is going to go into Tyranitar and bring it all the way down to 9 HP. So my thought behind that, Dodson, real quick, I want to defend myself. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wanted to change the weather so that I could get super effective damage off outside of. So I did have Struggle Bug, but it wouldn't have done enough, I don't think. But it would have gotten it down to -1. But I wanted to get like a Fiery Dance off into Ludicolo, so I could try to start getting special attack boost and potentially sweep from there. But unfortunately, that's not the case, and I lost my Volcarona.
Yeah, and with a Tyranitar with just 9 HP and a Jellicent with 45, while you're sitting across from a pretty healthy Ludicolo and a full health Celesteela, things are looking a little grim on Nibbs' side. You got a Jellicent using Recover. That could bring things back around, especially in that Trick Room. You know, it's going first every time at 149 HP, and then a Rock Slide coming off. It's going to take the Ludicolo all the way down to just, it looks like it's just a sliver of health, or is it all the way out? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's in
and then
the
we got a
red.
flinch. So there's a Giga Drain coming off off of Ludicolo into Jellicent, which is going to bring Ludicolo just into just a little chunk of health, right? And
Leftovers.
yeah, just a little bit back up with leftovers as well. Celesteela still getting still sitting pretty healthy with 155 HP. So you got still plenty that's threatening it on Nina's side, and the recover did help things a little bit, and getting that rock slide certainly helped things a little bit, but I don't think it's enough to really get you out of the hole that you're in, buddy.
Yeah, if I want to come back from this situation, I'm gonna have to have a really good conversation with Masuda himself, Junichi Masuda, the creator of Pokemon. I'm gonna have to have a lot of RNG. I'm gonna get a recover here from Jellicent, which is very nice.
Oh yeah.
And as we did see previously, Tyranitar does underspeed. Rock Slide is going to come out, and it's going to be enough to take out the Ludicolo. It goes into Celesteela, double connects with both of them, and we do get another flinch into Celesteela.
Where there's a flinch, there's a way.
Where there's exactly. 30% chance to win if you have Rock Slide.
Yeah, there you go. And we still have one more Pokemon on Pokepro's side, I believe, to come out. Yeah, we've got Bolton, which is not going to do well in this Trick Room with Tyranitar on the other side of the field. But if it can take out that 9 HP living on that T-Tar, then it's done enough of its job to call it a day. And also, I mean, it's a great threat to Jellicent on the other side. That's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see that there is one turn of Trick Room left, I believe. So we are going to click Ice Beam here with the Jellicent, trying to do as much as we can, trying to get a freeze, trying to get a win con. We do get a crit. So the RNG is there. Rock Slide does come out from Tyranitar once again, and it brings Celesteela all the way down. I needed a crit there as well. I needed a double crit in order to KO. We do see Flash Cannon come out into the Tyranitar, and that's going to be enough to pick up the KO. And we are going to see a boost, a beast boost coming out from Celesteela after the KO, and it is in the special attack. So Volt Switch comes out into the Jellicent, and it brings it down to 51 HP, but Trick Room is going to turn around this time, Sand bringing it down to 39. After Trick Room, it's completely impossible to win in this situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough spot with the Trick Room gone. The speed tiers have completely shifted. 39 HP on your Jellicent. I mean, you got to survive 2 attacks, and just to get the recover off, let alone set up another Trick Room so you can actually start sweeping and doing some damage. Bolton coming out with a Volt Switch into Jellicent, and that will take it home for a 2-0 win for the Pokebros. Sorry, Nibbs.
There's my commentary. GG.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Nino's been playing great lately. Like I said, he won his own tour that was stacked with great players. It had over 60 people in it. And, it's kind of funny to win your own tour, but it's pretty funny to win your own tour, but when you're playing as great as you are, there was no stopping him. There was absolutely no stopping him. I did want to see the Rollercoaster and Pokebros matchup in the finals. Unfortunately, it looked like Callie was able to take down Rollercoaster, but Rollercoaster did prevail in the 3rd and 4th match, where he was able to pick up the 3rd. So shout out to Rollercoaster once again. We all love him. We all know him. He's a great person. But Nino, great player. What are you going to do?
Great. Fantastic player. Absolutely fantastic player. All right. Well, we're nearing the end of our show today, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. But before we end our show, we have our top 5 plays of the week. We gathered these plays this week. Honestly, we gathered a lot of these today when Nibbs and I were just tweeting out into the ether, hey, what plays made you feel like a badass in VGC lately? And we gathered some of our favorites here to show off for you guys. Nibbs, start us off with that first clip.
All right. Once again, we'll see it. We're going to see it again. Zation going for that protect and Feint coming out. What do you think of Feint right now, Dodd?
Feint is ridiculous right now with the protect being such a viable thing, and there's no max guards out there. I think Feint is actually a viable thing. I've actually, after seeing a lot of these clips, I want to run Menshao on a team. Wide guard, Feint, and I think fake out as well. I mean, that's just a really good, real good mix-up.
I will tell you really quick while you're bringing up Yanshao and literally those 3 moves. I recently built a team at like 2 in the morning while I was stoned as hell and about to pass out, and I just threw it all together. And one of the Pokemon that I threw on my team was Hitmontop, who gets access to Intimidate, Feint, Fake Out.
Hitmontop is always the one, man. Everyone always wants to see if they can make Hitmontop work.
And Wide Guard, Fake Out, Feint, Wide Guard, and Close Combat. Oh my goodness, man. And it's pretty thick too. I like to run it with a eject button, so like if you do end up getting a hit off into it, it just switches out and goes back to you. Red card is something to think about too, but Feint, I think if we're talking hot or not, Feint is hot.
Feint is hot. All right, for number 2, we've got a Unite clip for you guys. Chocolate Kieran coming in here with a Zapdos steal from hell. First he takes Zapdos and then takes everybody out on the field and then just goes for it. Just ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. We talk about Zapdos being hot or not right now, and this shows why Zapdos is such a spicy topic right now. 100 points. Super duper. They've got to be super salty. I'm sure they quit right after that. Look at this full sweep. Look, takes Zapdos with just hair, right? And then just narcs the whole team out. Done. Alolan Ninetales takes no prisoners and just absolutely takes the cake. You love to see it happen when it's happening on your team, right, Nibbs?
Absolutely, man. That is something great, and you can see him run all the way, take it home with the 10-second marker, and gets that donk, and I'm sure they ended up picking up that win. We're going to see it one more time. Sliver of health goes down, and then just sweeps his opponent. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful play. All right, let's cut into number 3, where we have Galaxian God facing off on the ladder, I believe it looks like. So we're going to see Regieleki going for Protect here in this situation. We're also going to see, oh wow, it's a Protect call out where Fake Out's going to come out from Incineroar into the Urshifu Water type, and it's a Raw Hurricane going into the Water Urshifu, and it just straight up picks up that KO. So that is a great read that we got to see there from Galaxian, getting that KO into the Water Urshifu. Also notably outspeeding it. It kind of depends on what the speed of was the Water Urshifu. It could have already been at, it could have gotten up a Quiver Dance or something like that beforehand, or it could just be, invested enough to outspeed a slower
Incineroar may be dressed like a wrestler, but he doesn't want any of that Urshifu business, okay? He doesn't want to fuck with that at all. And the fact that you can have your Incineroar on one side of the field and take out the Urshifu on the other side of the field, that's a good day. That's a good day.
Yeah, and then the Water Urshifu did get faked out. I don't know why I said it got Quiver Danced up or anything. But why don't you take us, Dodd, over to the fourth?
Speaking of Quiver Dance, though, number 4 in here is from our own Quiver Dance. We talk about Tornogre being such a threat right now, and the real reason is because Kyogre can do a lot of damage with Water Spout in the rain, but you have to have the rain up. And that doesn't happen if they switch into Torkoal, but if you've got a Prankster Tornadus with a Rain Dance, you can throw that rain back up, and then maybe, just maybe, you can get a Water Spout that takes 2 people out, and you do. What a play. And look how humble Quiver Dance is here. Like, I would be freaking out, but he's just like, I'm good. I do this. I do this every day. Right? I would be like, I'm the best player. I would be just walking up, be like, I'm done. I don't need to do anything anymore. But he's just like, I'm awesome.
Oh, man, I love Quiver so much, guys. If you know Quiver Dancer, shout out to Quiver. Quiver sent this message to my private message, and he was very excited to do this. And you can see him dancing through it, and he's like, he's quiet to himself. He's humble. He's wholesome.
How play that is.
He's such a good person. Oh my goodness. And this turtle doesn't want to be in the rain, and it comes out to set the sun to mitigate the damage coming from Kyogre, and it's just not enough when you have Rain Dance and you're as good of a player as Quiver is. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Quiver is dancing
Yeah, Upsmash has got it.
IRL,
I'm
you're right.
Flipper dancing IRL. 100% if I hit this play. Oh, this is big brain right here. 100% big brain. All right, Nibbs, take us home with our final top play.
That's not enough damage.
All right, the fifth and final play of the week is coming from somebody from Twitter who follows me, a mutual follower. They're playing on the Battle Stadium ladder. It's going to be a call out going into the Aegislash, using an attack for the Porygon 2, not going for Trick Room, but the opponent thought that he was going to, predict that he was going to, goes for the taunt into the Porygon 2, and Trick Room gets set by main event there with the stack Kataka. Yeah, so getting the foul play off, KO and the...
You'd think in that situation, the person going for the Trick Room is Porygon, and someone's got to make that call, right? But they's like, nope, fuck it. I'm going to have the big rocks set the Trick Room for us, and I'll just have my Porygon go ahead and take out this Aegislash over here with a foul play, which, I mean, a Dark-type move, that's when you have an Aegislash in that stance with foul play, that's a bad time. You don't want that.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. So that wraps up our top 5 of the week.
Yeah, that wraps up our top 5 of the week, and that wraps up our show for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the very first ever episode of Silph Co Sports. I am the Dodd. I have our host here with us, Nibbs Plays Games. We both are content creators here on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at RooseBane, and on TikTok. Nibbs, where can they find you?
They can find me at Nibbs Plays Games. I stream on Thursdays and Saturdays. I'm trying to figure something else out too, because I was streaming on Tuesdays, but I think I'm going to get rid of that now that we're adding this on offsetting Wednesdays. But you can also find me at ATX VGC on Monday night friendlies, ATX _ VGC, Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Again, this is our very first episode. If you got any feedback or anything, we would love to hear about it. The best way to do that is to join our Discord. You can go below. There's a big icon that says Join the Nerd Herd. Click on that button. You'll get a link right to the Geeklife Discord. Yeah, also if this is your first time at Geeklife, stick around, check some stuff out. We've got a streamcast that talks about all the nerdy news you need to know, as well as shows covering everything from your cozy streams to your free games, to games engaging the community, to new classic old games, all kinds of cool stuff here at Geeklife. A lot of fun stuff here. But yeah, that's about as much as I can rant for one night. You got anything before we go, Nibbs?
Yeah, there is just one more thing that I would like to add to that, and that is literally just submit your clips. If you guys want to get your clip shown on here and you're proud of a play that you made, go ahead and submit it to us in the Geek Live server that you can find just here underneath of our screen. And yeah, if you have any best of threes, we would love to make that the highlight match of the week, so we don't have to watch me lose in my draft league. I would much prefer that. But anyway, yeah, GG's to Nino for that draft league. I have mentioned it several times. Lolis Nelly also posted the Discord link there in the chat. So you have access to that. Go ahead and give us your VODs. We would love to see your VODs and talk about them on stream. It doesn't have to be VGC. It could also be Unite. Yeah.
We like those Unite clips too. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and go fuck yourself, San Diego. Wait, who put that in the prompter? Fuck. See you guys next time. Peace. It's an Anchorman reference. I hope everybody got that.
I think so.
We're still on. I hope you guys got the Anchorman reference. All right.